Well, hi there again. It's Tracy with Art Books for Creativity, and I am back after a little bit longer break than I had originally planned, but it's all good now. And I have a couple of books I'm going to talk about today, and that is on mixing color for your paintings. And these books are both published by Walter Foster. And I have two out of what I know, three that they published at this particular time. These are both, I think, by William Powell. Yep. And the other one is Mixing Colors for Portraits. So I don't paint people, so I don't have the portrait color mixing book. But the first one I'll show is this is Color Mixing Recipes for Landscapes. And I have been off and on painting landscapes, but one of my primary reasons for getting this book, and it was a huge help, is I had a 7 painting project that I did a few years back for a client who wanted me to put his dogs that he had owned for his entire life onto the US bills, everything starting from the $1 bill all the way up to the $100 bill. Well, if any of you have ever attempted to paint the colors that are in our bills in the United States, they are very unusual colors, and I needed to really get a really good sense of where can I find a color that I feel is going to match what this particular denomination is. And so these books really did come in handy. Now, one of the things that the landscape is, it focuses on colors that you're most likely to see in landscapes and has recipes using everything from various different brown shades to more pastel colors. And here's a breakdown of greens. And one of the things that you'll notice at the very top is it will give all of the different paint colors used. So for example, with this one, you're typically seeing a lot of different yellows, the oranges, blacks, raw sienna, zinc yellow, permanent green, and the amount of paints that you can, colors that you can mix from these paints is pretty astounding. And then the recipe, the formula is put right underneath that paint. So for the number 85, which they don't give a name to, but that would be 2 of zinc yellow hue with 1 of cerulean blue hue. So depending on the brand of paint that you are using in your studio, you might have different results. You know, if you're using only Liquitex or only Golden, or maybe you use Soho, maybe you use Nova Color. The best thing to do is just make samples and make a sample painting card for yourself. I like to make mine on watercolor paper that I typically will gesso and seal up, and then I will make different paint swatches, little squares, and I write down what it was and what the formula was, and that's always a good thing to have handy. Keep a little file on those things. But if you're doing landscapes, this one's got it. It also gives you a color reference index at the back, so if you want to very quickly look for the color that you are searching for, you've got it right back here in the legend. And this is kind of a handy little thing. It's called a color mixing grid, and that comes at the very back of this book. I suppose you could probably tear it out. I haven't used it. So this one's a great one. Now this one here is 450 different color combinations for oil and acrylic. And this guide is what they're showing if you really need to squeeze it out and get your amounts. And so this has obviously got the plastic guide again. You can clean it off and wipe it off. And this one has a lot of different colors, and it starts out nicely with a section on color theory, as well as starting with all of your colors. And it seems to go in order of starting with the yellows, moving into greens, a little bit of the oranges, starting to move into the greens, into the blue greens, blues into purples, purples into pinks, and magentas, and the whole spectrum. And there are just so many colors that if you're looking to do something very unique in your paintings and not just use a color straight out of the tube, some artists will use color straight out of the tube. A lot of us like to custom mix our paints. this is such a great resource to have. And again, if you are, doing a lot of portrait work and trying to get a flesh tone correct, the one on portrait and flesh tones is the book you'll want to buy as well. They do spend a little bit of a section at the back on portrait colors for flesh tone, but not quite as comprehensive if you were to buy the entire book. And this is also another little section if you're going to go ahead and try to mix some portrait tones. And then again, this one too also has an index with a legend so that you can quickly look up a color that you want to get. I find these books to be invaluable, especially when I am trying to get a custom mix for a color, and they're just a great book to have in your own personal reference library. And what can I say? It's Walter Foster Books, and these were first published in 2017 from Quarto Group, and it's quartonows.com, QUARTOKNOWS.com. And I'm sure, like always, you can find these books on both Amazon and one of my other favorite sites, which is called thriftbooks.com. And that's it for today. It's a short one. I'll be back next week with another talk about art books for creativity. And thanks for joining me today, and hang in there with me as I get back up to schedule. Appreciate you all. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week.